Hi, I'm Luke Tanaka, and I'm here with Elmhurst women's basketball coach Tethnie Carrillo. And coach, you got off the snide a victory against UW-Platteville, but down by 8 at halftime. What was the message to the team in that locker room?
That we had to play defense. We just weren't playing defense for sure in the first two quarters, and it was one of those things that I went into halftime. I said we have to only allow them to shoot 33%. I felt like to win this ball game, and had we not given up that putback at the very end, we would have held them to 33% in that second half. So they really did a nice job of responding to that.
And really, right away, they responded 8 points and 9 turnovers in that third quarter, only allowing 8 points. What was the key to the effectiveness? What was the thing that changed going into that second half?
I think they just really regrouped at halftime and just saw what, the result of the first half of not playing defense got them. And they really bought into playing defense, and then just really of helping each other out, not letting them drive and get to the basket. I mean, they only took 3 threes the whole game, which meant that we definitely weren't doing what we needed to do in the paint.
You had 30 points in that fourth quarter, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. You're second in the CCIW in free throw percentage, despite being a pretty young team. How do you explain that kind of success?
Well, I mean, we don't really practice it too much. I probably should say that we do practice it more than what we do. But, the girls just really get in, and we spend time in between drills trying to get some free throws in. And luckily, so far, it's worked so far.
You've had to lean a little bit more on your depth this season with now 9 players averaging at least 14 minutes per game. How has that worked out for you? It's a little bit of a different look than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I would say in the last few years I haven't done a rotation as big as what I have so far, but I feel like this year we have a lot of girls that are very similar and a lot that have, the ability to be able to play that many minutes. So we're just, we're really trying to make sure we play all the people, all the options that we can. So going into conference that, we feel like we're a stronger team this way because it makes it harder for people to know who to guard because we've had multiple people in double digits. And I think in the years past, we've always had just maybe like 2 people in double digits. Now this year, it's like if you stop someone else is going to step up and fill that spot.
You've been able to shuffle around the starting lineup a little bit, perhaps another sign of that depth. Are you still trying to feel out who's the best starting five?
Yeah, and again, keep going back to the years past, but I've always kind of stuck with a certain lineup and stayed with it. But this year again, talking about our depth, we have a lot of people that deservingly could be put in that spot. So it's just definitely one of those things that we just try to really preach of them going out there every day and working hard. And then because of that, I really have I felt like the lineup needed to be switched a little bit. So I guess yeah, haven't quite found the right lineup, and I don't know if the right's probably not the right word. I don't know if that's a correct word to use because I feel like I might continue to switch it up all year long.
One of those starters, the new starters who, for the first time against UW-Platteville, Lisa Logan had 22 points, 4 of 7 from three-point range in her first collegiate start, and 13 in the first half when she hadn't had more than 10 in any game in her first 8 collegiate games. What have you seen from her since she stepped on campus, and how she really worked her way into that starting position?
Well, I know last year we recruited her really heavy, so we knew the potential that she had. And, when she got here, I think it was just kind of getting used to everything, getting used to the college game. And, as being a freshman, being a point guard, that's a tough position to be in because you're commanding everyone else to be in the right spot. You're commanding, juniors and seniors to do what you're asking because that's what we ask our point guards to do. So she's really just done a nice job of developed over the time when we started since October 15th to where she is now. And she kind of thrives on pressure situations. So you can kind of see, you never know how a person's going to take the first start, but she really took the team on her shoulders on last Wednesday. And we were very successful because of that.
Another key player who started every game this season is Michaela Eppard. With the departure of Fiona McMahon, everybody kind of expected Eppard to take on that number one option role, but she responded by winning 2 out of the first 3 Conference Player of the Week awards. How has she added to her game, knowing that she's going to be the number one option this year?
She spent this whole summer kind of stretching out her game a little bit to where, she can shoot threes, but she didn't really have to do any of that last year. So we're trying to encourage her to take more from the outside shot because now this year without Fiona, she's definitely getting everyone's top post defender. So she's having to the nice thing about her is we're able to move her away from the basket. So because of that, then she's able to get her drive going a little bit more. She can kind of step out and take the three if needed. And I think that's really just helping her game. So that way she's just not one-dimensional right around the basket type player.
One of the interesting things about your schedule is that you've actually had a 10-day layoff now, or you will, up until this coming Saturday when you'll play Franklin. What have you emphasized the most during this 10-day layoff?
Defense. Just looking back at our games, a lot of our games have been really close, whether we won it or lost by a few. We know, number one, that we have to make sure that we just play more defense in the paint and not allow teams to get easy baskets. It puts so much stress on our offensive output, because if we allow them to score easy baskets, then we're pretty much having to score every time down the floor.
As I mentioned, you'll match up with Franklin this Saturday. They have played some really good defense. They haven't allowed any team to shoot over 30% from three-point range so far this season. What's going to be the key to scoring against that defense?
We switched to a new offense this year, and being already 9 games in, going into our 10th one, I feel like it's really developing each game that we go into. So we've seen some different things that teams have thrown against us. So yes, I just watched a little bit of film on Franklin. They do play defense very well, but we're hoping that if we can get the ball moving like we have been in the last few games and us cutting, that should be able to hopefully free up the inside-outside game.
All right, good luck against that Franklin D on Saturday, and enjoy your holiday season as well.
Thank you. You too.